Hello, everybody. It's time to review week 5 of the West Indian Championship fixtures and the team of the week. And as always, Chief Selector, Mr. Kieran Powell, will be selecting the side. How are you, Kai?
Not too bad. Flew back last night so we can have an in-person briefing before announcing this week's team as the tournament goes on another break.
Yeah, well, that's it. Before we started, I was going to ask you this a bit later on, but obviously it seems appropriate to sort of mention it now. How do you find these breaks?
I think it's the most annoying thing ever. From a player's perspective, it's almost as if you're playing 3 different tournaments, By the time you get up to speed, you catch a rhythm, you've got a break for 2 weeks, which I think is completely unnecessary. I mean, I don't understand the reason why. For me, personally, I'd have 7 weeks of cricket so that the body gets used to the hardships of playing 4-day cricket. Because once the body's used to it, then it's easy. Like you're in a rhythm. It's just a continuous process. But when you have to break for 2 weeks and come back, you're building up momentum. So it's almost as if you're playing 3 different tournaments. And I'm assuming it's quite frustrating for other players as well.
No, it must be. It must be. That's exactly what my point was going to be. It must be because you're messing with rhythm and you just want to sort of get into some rhythm and get going. But speaking of get going, we'll get straight stuck into it. So opening the batting, you've gone with Jamaican John Campbell.
Yep, his second century of the tournament. Apparently, that pitch has been quite tricky in the morning sessions, but it's settled down in the afternoons. And apparently, that's something that has happened throughout the entire 4 days of that match. So I think Jamaica are in a bit of an early bother. And then John Campbell came out after lunch and was just able to blaze away a pretty quick 100. Again, I'd like to see him go on and score bigger hundreds. But nevertheless, 100 to his tally. And for someone that's trying to get back into the regional West Indies setup, I think that's obviously good from him. But I'd like to see him go on and score bigger hundreds when he does get to, or if he does get to another century.
Yeah, no, fair enough. And then opening the batting with him, you've gone with Akeem Augusti.
Auguste,
sorry. Yeah, we did discuss that before as well. I do apologise, Akeem.
No, that's fine. I think this week has been a bit of a slow week in terms of openers getting centuries. We've had a plethora of centuries throughout the tournament. The most I've ever seen in any regional season. So it's been interesting. But I think Akeem played a very good innings of a very unlikely win. I think that their inexperience would have played a part, but I think obviously the way he started that innings and gave them the opportunity to even be in the hunt was very good to see.
Yeah, definitely. And then at number 3, you've gone with Jeremy Salzano.
Yes, again, another opener. I've slotted him in at number 3. Played, I guess, somewhat of a fighting knock for the Windward Islands, who've been struggling very badly this season for whatever reason. They've got quite a few experienced players in there, but it just hasn't clicked around their way at all this season, especially from a batting standpoint. The bowling has done pretty okay. They haven't been big scores or whatever against them, but it's just the batting hasn't come to the party at all and given them a chance to even fight or have an opportunity to win games. So I think for Salazano personally, obviously being the overseas player in the Windward Islands setup, it's a score he would have needed as well. And he slots in at number 3 this week. And then number 4, you've gone with the game obviously that you played in with Justin Greaves scoring 104 and taking 2 for 13. Yep. Justin played a very good innings, batted a long time, marshalled the young Joel Andrew to his maiden first-class century. And that was Justin's maiden first-class century for the Leeward Islands, having scored 4 Super 50 centuries for the Leeward Islands as well. So now he's got his first 4-day century for the Leeward Islands as well. And him coming off of the back of a 69 in the second innings of that match that they lost to the Windward Islands last week. And this only being his second game of the season, having some personal issues that I don't think it's my right to say, but obviously I know what's happened there, and it's just good to see him bounce back and be in such a good space so quickly after.
Yeah, no, it was really good to see. And then obviously with him, you mentioned him before, Jules Andrew at number 5 with 122 and a 65 as well.
Yep, very happy to see young Joel Andrews scoring his maiden first-class century. Obviously, someone that I would have played with last season. Seeing him come into regional cricket, obviously, I would have liked to have the opportunity to be batting with him when this moment came about. But I'm just happy to say that I was there to see the first of what I think will be many. Ironically, as well, when these young players from the Leeward Islands make a century, they always take a bat from my gear bag as a celebratory moment. Mr. Andrew went one step further and took it before the match, before scoring a century, which is never normally the case. They always have to score a century before doing so. So, no, just very, very happy for him.
Yeah, nice.
He's an amazing young man. He's being molded properly. I'm not worried about his development at all. I know that he's in a good environment with the Leeward Islands team, with the players that are looking after him, and also with the guys around the West Indies setup. I mean, obviously he's an admirer of Shea Hope, who's a member of our agency. Emma looks after Shea and has looked after Shea for all his career, and we know what Shea does on and off the field in the way that he carries himself. And so Joel is obviously aiming to replicate the performances of someone that is an utmost professional. So I think he's going to be just fine. I'm very happy to see that he's very high up on the runs tally, being only an 18-year-old and producing quite early into his career.
Yeah, people who listen to the pod will know how fondly you've spoke of Joel for a long, long time. So, it's a shame. Well, it's more than a shame. Obviously, he wasn't there. Batting with him when they did it, but it was great for you to be there. And he must have been ultra confident then, technically, to go and get the bat before he got the century, than after getting the century. So, he keeps the tradition going, getting it before. He must have felt good going into the game. So.
He's quite a confident young man, but he's very funny, very cheeky. Exactly what you'd expect from an 18-year-old. It's hard not to like him. So I'm very happy for him.
No, brilliant. And then we've got Carl Tuckett at 6 with 2 half centuries in the first. Half century in the first and a half century in the second innings as well.
No, this is an interesting pick. Generally, I like guys that are making centuries, but as I said, this round hasn't had as many centuries as the previous rounds. Having said that, Carl Tuckett has been putting together quite an amazing little season for his second year out. I think last year he had quite a very, very, very appealing season for a first timer. But what he's done this season in generally having second season blues and people figuring you out and seeing you and planning for you, for him to come back and have an even better season, I think that speaks wonders to, I guess, his determination, his grit, scoring his maiden first-class century in Barbados against Barbados. 2 half centuries in this match. I think he's got 4 half centuries and a century for this season, averaging over 45. And again, another young Leeward Islands player, but this one being in the academy, I think it speaks very well for, I guess, the ecosystem of Leeward Islands cricket. I don't understand why he's not within the Leeward Islands setup, because he, in my opinion, could be playing as an out-and-out batsman or as a wicket-keeper batsman, whatever route is necessary. But he's someone that needs to be out of the academy now, as he's shown that he has what it takes to perform at this level. And the thing I like about him as well in particular is that he's the only young wicket-keeper batsman in the entire Caribbean around his age group.
Yeah, you
and for him to be already playing and gathering experience. Yep, and putting up these types of numbers. So he's not just playing, but he's performing well and putting up steady numbers.
Yeah.
Bodes well, not only for him, but for West Indies cricket, because as we can see, there's a fight at the top between Tevin Imlach and Joshua De Silva.
Yeah.
So when you look at what's next, I think Kylan will be someone that could be groomed and has the right age to sort of follow up these 2 guys, because those 2 guys are closer towards 30 than 20. And so that gives Carlin a nice little runway to start building a niche and a pathway for himself.
Definitely. Just for clarity, in terms of the West Indies Academy squad, who takes priority? So if the regional side wanted you, they can take you over the academy, or where does the decision lie, really?
I'm not necessarily sure. I don't want to speak on that without knowing. I know that, for example, Kevin Wickham, Kevlon Anderson, those were guys that were in the academy and have graduated and gone on to their respective regional teams.
Yeah.
And then you see someone like a Joshua Bishop, who is, again, carving out a nice little path for himself.
Yeah.
But is behind Jomel Warrican in a Barbados pecking order.
Yeah.
So he's still in the academy, but when you look at his performances across the region over the past 2 to 3 years, it's second to none. And as I said, that's both with bat and ball. So
yeah, definitely.
It's just interesting to, I guess, try and understand how that aspect of it works and figure out who has precedence. But I'm just happy that these guys are having the opportunity to play regional. Some, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And then at number 7, you mentioned there, you've gone with Tevin Imlach with his, his century in his 113 that he had.
Yep. Second century for the season for Tevin Imlach. Not much between him and Joshua De Silva in terms of the runs chart. So, as I said, if for Joshua De Silva to push Tevin Imlach out, he's going to have to do something extremely extraordinary, having just recently lost his spot, because both of them, I think, averaging 75 point something for the season with the bat. So it's nothing here nor there. One's got 3 centuries, one's got 2 centuries.
2 run splits.
Exactly. Both are captains of their regional teams. Both teams are in first and second place. So literally, there's nothing to split between the two of them.
No.
So Joshua De Silva is going to have to continue to produce, and that in turn is going to force Tevin Imlach to continue to produce, which is only good for West Indies cricket.
I would literally go to say that sentence there. It's only good to see this competition for places, people going, above and beyond to put their name forward. Is what you want to see. You want to see the best out of every player. And this scenario shows that competition is healthy.
Exactly.
Yeah. At number 8, again, which is another name that's previously mentioned, but you're going with Joshua Bishop with his 5-wicket haul, and he chipped in with a 49 as well.
Exactly. I mean, you look at Joshua Bishop. You're getting an out-and-out spinner, but you're having someone that has a first-class batting average of 30, and is capable of contributing centuries in first-class cricket. I think that's his second first-class century. So you have a proper cricketer that's being molded there. And with someone like him, I think it's very important how they continue to develop him, and
definitely
the opportunities that he gets across A-team tours, going on senior tours as a developmental player to get exposure to the international environment and stuff, because he's someone play for the West Indies team. So very happy for him for his continued success with both bat and ball, and hopefully he continues to do well, finish off the season strong, and then I'm looking forward to him probably being the lead spinner in that A-team series against South Africa in a few months.
Yeah, definitely. And it's, again, we mentioned it before, but it's that consistency that's been really clear, which has been really good to see, especially from some of the younger players as well, because that maturity and that development is really, really key. But for them to keep doing it consistently and not be found out in a way of people figuring out how to play them from a batting perspective, but also from a bowler, how to figure it. I think it's really, really good to see. It's really, really positive. And I think that's one, this segment that we're doing in terms of reviewing it week by week, it really gives us that insight, and we've been following it from each week, and you can see the key performers, and it's really good to see the trends and that consistency. So, so in at number 9, you've gone with Joshua James.
Yeah, so that match in Barbados was, I guess, quite a humdinger, if for want of a better expression. Barbados left very green pitch from since CCC were there the week before.
You said that.
Stating that they wanted to play on a spicy pitch.
Yeah.
Yep, stating they wanted to play on a spicy pitch against Trinidad. Clearly forgetting that Trinidad has the likes of Anderson Phillip, Jaden Sears, Joshua James, who did very well.
Yeah.
I think that his performance across both innings, 3-4 in both innings, really was the backbone of the performance, because after the two opening bowlers who would have been the main threat and the international players, him coming on could have really released the pressure.
Definitely.
But him being able to continue to squeeze and probably even restrict more than the two opening bowlers did would have given the captain a lot of opportunities to rest one of his bowlers and allow them to come back for another spell to maintain pressure throughout the innings, and allow the Trinidad and Tobago team the opportunity to wrap up that match inside 2 days. So congratulations to Joshua James, and he's also another all-rounder, up and coming in the Caribbean as well, hard-hitting all-rounding. I think more of a bowling all-rounder than a batting all-rounder, but he still can provide valuable contributions to the bat, and so that lengthens the batting order with him coming at number 9 in this team. So very happy.
Yeah, definitely. I think, like you mentioned there about their opening partnership with Anderson Phillip and Jaden Seals, it's like when you were facing that partnership, you're thinking, right, get through this. Let's see, let's see what they have first change. And the fact that he then went and got, he then took the wicket of Roston Chase, Jason Holden, and Matthew Ford. I know that there was obviously the run out with Shea in between as well, but that period of play there, and we spoke about it before in terms of influencing the game, it won the game for Trinidad effectively, because it would have been a hell of an ask for Barbados to come back. So, the way that the opening partnership was, and it was tough. I watched it. It was doing all sorts. I thought they both bowled absolutely superbly. I know that prior to it, you did say that it was going to be a tough, from a batting perspective. But I thought the way that they bowled was brilliant. And like I said, when they then made the change of the bowling, he just didn't give them anything, and did what they did. I thought, a fantastic performance, really, for me. At 10, you've got another one from your game. You've gone with O'Shane Thomas.
Yep. Maiden 5-wicket haul for the Leeward Islands. I think that what surprised me and what stood out was his fitness. His fitness levels, I thought, would have been tested. I thought he'd have been able to bowl 3 or 4 over spells and not be able to come back for many spells after that. But he generally bowled 6 to 7 over opening spells, pretty consistent. The pitch was doing enough because there's a considerable grass coverage on the pitch, which was aided by a prominent seam on the juke ball, obviously with the ball not being damaged much because there was nice grass coverage. And he used that to his strength, and he was very consistent, very patient, obviously always good on pace. I think I tried to jump him a bit in the first innings, but the second innings he came back and was relentless and picked up what I think was a very good 5-wicket haul. Bowled aggressively in patches, but pretty much outside of that, consistent probing, getting the ball to shift in and away at times. So very happy for us.
Yeah, he seemed to bowl. It looked like he was bowling a really heavy ball this week.
Yeah, I mean, O'Shane's at the best of times not probably the person you'll want to face, and he gets the ball to jump at you a lot, obviously coming from six whatever. And I think from since I've seen the partnership of O'Shane Thomas and Alzari Joseph, I've not necessarily seen them pair up badly on any occasion in any format for the Leeward Islands. So I think that it's a partnership that clearly works. It's obviously high pace. And for regional cricket, you don't get that quite often. So I think it's always refreshing when both of them are available, because I think that's what regional batters need: exposure to high pace, high quality, high skill fast bowling, as to what you'll receive on the international stage. So no, very, very successful partnership across the 2 formats so far, and hopefully long may it continue.
Yeah, definitely. And then to wrap the side up, you've gone again with another impressive performance from Anderson Phillip.
Yeah, I think that he's someone that slides under the radar for whatever reason. But Anderson Phillip has been a consistent performer in regional cricket for the probably past 5 to 7 years.
Yeah.
Consistently gets wickets each season without getting any glory for, I guess, his hard work or his performances. But he's someone that I think is in and around and should be in and around that pool of West Indies reserve fast bowlers for if the main crop of bowlers go down.
Yeah.
I think he's very reliable. He's sort of like a Michael Nisa in the Australian setup.
Yeah.
You know what you're going to get. He runs in hard, bends his back. He's not afraid of hard work, and he generally will get some sort of results for you.
Yeah.
Because he's that type of guy. Very hard worker, good thinker of the game as well. So very, very happy for Anderson Phillip.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to see how he does over here in the county championship this summer for Lancashire. I think in the early part of the season, especially up north, he's going to get some help. Whether it be from the weather or the pitches at times, and I'm really looking forward to see how he adapts his game because, we're talking about player development and understanding the game and your game. I think that with him coming over here, there'll be parts of the season where he might find it incredibly hard from, it might be from the wickets, but then there's going to be parts of it where he gets a lot of joy. And I think ultimately it's going to be interesting to see how he figures it out. And that is going to be a massive benefit again for West Indies cricket in general because, he's going under the radar. But I think it's also it's probably having positives for him as well because it's allowing him just to keep focusing on improving himself really.
Yeah, I mean, I think this opportunity sort of came about where he came over at the end of last season and did very well, to say the least. I mean, someone like him, the lengths that he bowls, the pace that he bowls at, and the movement that he's able to get in and out, very skillful bowler. I think that going up north at the start of the season, I wouldn't be surprised if he runs up the wicket tally very quickly.
Yeah, I agree. And then we've got the reserves. You've gone with Shamar Holder.
Yep, Shamar Holder getting a 5-4 and a 3-4.
Yeah.
At times inconsistent. Wasn't necessarily sure of, I guess, what he was trying to do. He was trying to do a bit too much, but when he sort of settled down and just sort of stuck to one thing, he was able to, I guess, reap some rewards for a lot of hard work, long toil in both innings. So he's someone that obviously has been in and around that West Indies setup as well, and you'd want all of these guys to perform and put their hands up, which will only be a good thing for the West Indies because the more fast bowlers you have performing and taking wickets, then competition for places becomes a thing, and that forces the guys at the top to perform at an even higher level, which again can only push and drive West Indies cricket forward. So that's exactly what we want to see from these guys, and when they do get their opportunities, for them to push harder and keep those spots as well.
Yeah, and he's someone who, we mentioned it before in terms of from an academy perspective, but he's again someone who's advantaging from playing for the CCC as well. So he's not involved in the Barbados setup, but at least he's playing some cricket and he's probably answering a few critics as well in the fact of obviously missing out, the disappointment of missing out, and he's responding by doing what's best, which is taking wickets in his situation.
Right.
And then there were some notable mentions that you wanted to discuss, which was Jason Holder, Gudakesh Moti and Alzari Joseph all in the wickets.
Yep. I think at the beginning of this whole process, I said that for me, the West Indies bowling attack is what it is. That doesn't need to be touched in Shamar Joseph, Jaden Sears, Kemar Roach, Gudakesh Moti, Jamil Warwick and Alzari Joseph. I think that's sort of the pool of bowlers that we have. And so I wasn't looking to pick any of those guys predominantly into any of the teams of the weeks because I wanted to give exposure and opportunity to other guys that could be coming through. Yeah. Having said that, I think I did select Jamil Warwick in one or two teams of the weeks, but I think that was because generally there wasn't much other spin alternatives and I wanted to have some option for spin in the team of the week, so that's where he would have gotten in where other guys wouldn't have done as well. But these guys for me are seasoned players. You pretty much know what to expect from them. Obviously, the performances spoke for itself, all of them getting at least a 5 wicket haul that you mentioned there as the notable omissions. But
Yeah.
I think it was still important that their names be mentioned, and as to why they weren't selected, it's just simply for the fact that we're looking to give exposure to other options because we know these guys. These are known entities. We don't have to question what their performances would or could be.
Yeah. No, I agree. And we did say that at the very start of this process, obviously, in terms of how you'd be selecting it and what the situation was. But I sort of wanted to quickly ask you, with 5 games in to the championship now, Guyana, I believe, Guyana and Trinidad are first and second, and Leeward's are third in the table. How do you sort of see a brief overview in terms of how the tournament's played out so far?
I just don't understand how Ghana just keeps getting to first every single time. They've not done anything that anyone would say is outstanding,
No.
but yet still here they are. You'd think based on the stats of the tournament, you with the likes of a Cephas Cooper, the Jason Mohammed, the Joshua De Silva, the Amir Django, the list goes on for Trinidad and Tobago. You'd think that they'd be running away with it miles, but Trinidad is still considerably Guyana, is starting to build a good lead on the rest of the field, which is absolutely mind-boggling. Having said that, Guyana has produced gritty players over, I guess, the past decade and a half now, and have just got, I guess, that infrastructure and that know-how of winning cricket games, winning cricket tournaments at the senior regional 40 level. And I think that's something that needs to be studied by the wider region as to why Guyana can continue to produce players, continue to win regardless of who's in or out of the team, and something that the West Indies team should probably study as well, because it's been a habit now. I think they've got 7 of the past 10, and this would be 8 of the past 11, if I'm not mistaken. So obviously, obviously, people that understand how to win, what it takes, team compositions, breaking down oppositions and what they need to do to restrict those guys from performing against them. And it's very, very seldom that you find the Guyana team have a bad game. Like, there's always someone that will stand up and fight and get them out of a bad situation as well. So, all these little things count and go a long way. How the tournament's shaping up overall, I think that batting, I'm not sure if the batting standards are higher, but the volume of runs are definitely significantly more than what I would have seen at any point in time in my career, or obviously in my childhood before playing regional cricket, watching a lot of regional cricket as well. I think some 30 something, maybe 35 or so centuries being scored now across 5 rounds is amazing for West Indies cricket. It also makes me wonder about the quality of the bowling. But I guess it's kind of twofold as well, because as individuals we always ask for more from the batters, but when we get more now we question the bowling. So, and can you ever please somebody is sort of the thing. Having said that, we did ask for more from the fast bowlers, and now we're seeing fast bowlers coming to play. We're not seeing as much of the spinners dominating as we generally do. Fast bowlers are having quite an impact on the tournament, and so I think overall quite happy, quite pleased with, I guess, what we sort of asked for and the results we're getting. And so I'm just hopeful that it can be finished out strongly, the tournament, and we just have ultimately what I think is going to be a good fight to the end, because you've still got Guyana and Trinidad to play each other. You've got Barbados and the Leeward Islands to play each other. And all of these teams are vying for a position. I think Guyana's still got to play the Leeward Islands and Trinidad. So they've got 2 hard games for the run-in for the championship. And so, I think it's going to be a fight to the very end, and it's going to be interesting to see I guess, how teams go about these next 2 weeks off, in terms of trying to rest and recuperate, but also not lose too much steam, knowing that for the first time in a long time, the last 2 rounds are going to be pretty significant to the outcome of the tournament.
Yeah, definitely. Now I'm looking forward to to see how it all pans out, because one thing that I've really enjoyed this time is there's obviously some of the international names playing as well, so it has made it ultra competitive. And not only the international names returning, but the international names returning to compete for their own places as well. So I know at the opening of the show we've discussed about the wicket keeping situation, but ultimately there's all this going on as well from batters, from bowlers. It's really, really good to see this competition, and that's what's benefiting. Maybe I appreciate what you're saying there about, you mentioned about the batters going and doing it, and then you question the bowlers and vice versa. But I think, from my take anyway, it just seems as though that ultimately, you have got best of both of them. Your batters are scoring runs, and your bowlers are taking wickets. But it's performance based in a way of them going out there and doing it. So it's not down to previously you spoke about spinners. It's been very much spinner orientated because of the wicket situation. I think you're seeing some really good individual performances here, but they're also influencing the games, which is a key thing as well.
100%. Just very pleased with the quality of the cricket now. What I'd love to see is for more cricket being played. I've always been someone that's harped on about that. So I would have loved if it were preferably a 7-game first round, then you go into a double round of Super 50.
Yeah.
So instead of having a 2-week break and then another 2-week break, I'd love to see 7 straight. Maybe a 3-week or a month break. You go into your Super 50 tournament, a double round, semi-finals, finals, maybe another 2-week to a month break, and then come back and play another 7 rounds of 40 cricket to have a championship. That way you have quite an extended season of cricket, and everyone has an equal and fair opportunity to play more than enough cricket, and put up stats, and then that can lead into a CPL towards the end of the summer. So I think that would probably be my ideal scenario, but hopefully it's something that we can work towards ultimately at someday.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thank you very much, Kai, for your selection, and obviously the breakdown of it is brilliant as always. But fantastic. Thank you very much.
Speak soon.
Speak soon.